All right, this question. This question is the one on the left is what they give you in the homework assignment. I want to talk about the one on the right briefly before we do the one on the left, and talk about why they can't give us the one on the right. Okay. If I look at that information up there, those two triangles, I only know the right angles to be congruent, correct? Okay. Now, throughout the problem, the actual problem, they do tell you the triangles are similar, but if they would give it to me in the comparison on the right, or the triangles on the right, you have trouble, because you don't know another angle congruence, you have trouble deciding whether you should take this distance here and compare it to 20, or if that 36 should be compared to x plus 6. Does that make sense?
No.
You do not know whether this 36 is the side that relates to 20 in comparison to 36 relating to this, okay? Because this could be, think about this is going to be your largest side, right?
Yeah.
So largest, and this is going to be your largest, right?
Yeah.
Because those are your hypotenuses, right?
Yeah.
Do you know whether this is the small side or that's the medium side?
I don't understand.
No, you don't know what this number is.
36 goes with x plus 6.
You don't know that.
Yeah, okay. Flip it.
Okay,
horizontally.
you can't do that. You don't know whether this angle here, because you're trying to say match that angle up with that one, right?
Yeah.
You can't do that because you don't know a relation between those angles. There's no congruencies given. Okay.
So it has to be the hypotenuse and then the base.
So that's what they give us over here. They have to give you this in order for you to do this problem. They have to give you this orientation with the directions that they provided.
Okay. Could it be the hypotenuse and the right side, like the?
Yeah, as long as they give you the hypotenuse.
Like could it be like the longest and then the x plus 6 for the right side?
Yeah.
Or does it have to be the longest and the 20?
Well, if they give me the longest and the x plus 6, then and those are the only two things I have, then I'll have two things over here, and I'll have to compare.
But you
What I want, don't worry about what it could be. What I want you to understand is what this is right now, because I don't have another angle congruency to kind of reposition these and match up what's corresponding. I can't justify that 36 matches up to 20 or to x plus 6. Okay, it does match up to one of them, but I'm not sure which one. The fact that they put the 36 and the x plus 6 in the actual problem as the hypotenuses, now you know, because in any right triangle, that is the longest side, and that is the longest side, and respectively, right?
Yeah.
So now you know 36 should compare to x plus 6, right? And now the 2x minus 6 would compare to what? You've already used that. You've used that. We've now used that. The only thing left is it's got to be 20, logically, right? Does that kind of make sense to everyone?
Yeah.
That's the only reason we can do this problem without them saying something of the effect like if this is A, B, C, D, E, and F. Without them giving me a similarity statement, with A, B, C maybe being similar to A, B, so F, D, E, okay? Without that information, this problem can only be solved if they give me both hypotheses as expressions, okay? Because we know they should be the longest sides. We have other geometry that allows us to connect those or develop a relationship between those. So now once we have that set up, I'm going to cross multiply, right?
So you can't go up close?
No, never.
Understand?
Yes. If I cross multiply, there's a couple things you could do here. Is there a 2 that I can factor out here? Does that 2 exist down here? Okay, so you could, if you wanted to, change this thing here to x minus 3 over 10. Okay, that's what I get if I would factor a 2 out of here and a 2 out of here. Those 2's would cancel, leaving x minus 3 over 10. And then I can take that black ratio and multiply it by this blue one and arrive at something we can factor. I'm going to, because I don't think a lot of people maybe did that, I'm just going to multiply it directly here. Okay, x times 2x gives me 2x squared. X times -6 gives me -6x. 6 times 2x gives me 12x. 6 times 6 gives me -36 in this case. And then 2 times 36 is 72, right? So it should be 720. Fix that real quick. Should be 720. Can I start combining like terms? Get 2x squared plus 6x. Move my 720 over, so it would become, what, minus 756 is equal to 0. Is that all right there, everybody? Okay, now at this stage, I think this is a really good decision to do this.
That is hard.
Is that 2 represented in each one of these values?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can factor a 2 out here, okay?
Except
Um,
for the zero count.
No, we're going to factor just the left-hand side, but we'll incorporate that 0 here in a moment. So I take a GCF out of all 3 of these terms. It leaves me x squared plus 3x minus 378 is equal to 0. Is that all right with everybody? Now I have 2 times a number, right? That's all this trinomial is eventually. When I know what x is, this just becomes a number, right? Right now it's unknown. But could I divide that side by 2
Yes.
and also divide this side by 2?
Well, I don't know. No, because 0 divided by anything, 0.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
And that's what we want, right? We want x squared plus 3x.
Is it 0 divided by 0 where you can't do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or anything else divided by 0.
Yeah.
So I get that, right? That's something we can factor. Now, the reason I show it that way, dividing both sides by 2, is because it's very important to understand when you can do that and when you cannot do that. Okay? There will be times in a math class where you want to factor that 2 out, kind of like, I think I've got it here somewhere. Okay, so I have an example here where I factored a 2 out, okay? But in this case, I want the 2 to stay. Because what is different between this and what I had in the last slide?
The numbers, they weigh different.
Yeah, the numbers are different. But in the other one, didn't I have that? Wasn't it an equation before? It's not an equation right here. It's just an expression.
Oh, I figured you just did that.
No. So here I can't take that 2 out, okay? Because I don't have 2 sides to do the same operation to. Does that make sense? So I can't just make it disappear. And that's something I have a lot of people struggle with algebraically in this class and beyond this class. Is why I can take that 2 and divide both sides by it, and it ultimately just disappears. Somebody earlier today said, why just take it out? It just goes away. Yeah, but why? Okay, and if you understand why, you'll then know when and when you cannot.
I like it because it makes the number way smaller.
Yeah, taking that 2 out makes things a lot easier here. If I did take the 2 out, you could do the A times C method probably, which would be, like you said, 2 times 756 is going to be a large number to deal with. 378 is a lot easier to deal with. Now what we're trying to do is figure out 2 numbers that multiply together to give me 378 and have to give me 0. So the way I do this, guys, is, or not 0, adds up to give me 3. The way you can do this, one of them has to be positive, one of them has to be negative, right? Okay? So we know that's kind of the setup right now. Because this number is pretty small, what I want you guys to do is, you're going to take 378.
You start guessing numbers.
Kind of, but I'm going to get a good starting point on where to guess.
I would guess like 20 something. Like 20 times something. Well, I make them both positive for it's easier that way.
Okay, so making them positive, I'm going to take the square root of 378. That gives me a good starting point. So you said 20, right?
I said, oh,
Okay, so 19 or 20, good starting point. I'm going to take 378. Now, I know it's not divisible by 20, but I'm going to try 19 and see what I get. I'm looking for my output here to be a whole number.
and to be 6 or 3 was it? It was 3.
So I tried 19, and it gave me this number. Now I'm going to try, you can either increase by 1 or decrease by 1. So I'm going to try 18.
Okay.
And there's my whole number, right?
And then add up the 3.
So 18 and 21 are the two factors that multiply together to give you 378, and they're the two that are 3 units away from each other. Does that make sense?
Yes.
And that square rooting will allow you to get a good starting place. So 18 and 21, 21 has to be positive, 18 has to be negative, right?
Yes.
So then when I set these equal to 0, x plus 21 equals 0, x minus 18 is equal to 0. So x then ends up being negative 21, and x equals positive 18, right?
Yes.
Now the question says, type your answers in using a comma if needed. Is there a comma needed here?
Do you need to check to see if the answers are right?
Yes, I do.
Because can't one of them not work?
Negative 21 plus 6 gives me negative 15 right there, right? Can I have a length of negative 15?
No.
Nope. So negative 21 is an extraneous solution. We get rid of it. 18 is the only one that works for this problem. Okay. There are other approaches. Maybe you're a person that doesn't like that factoring, which is fine. Hopefully at some point, especially if you're going to be an Algebra 2 student or go beyond that, you do kind of get comfortable with that formula or that format in factoring. But could I use this, the opposite of b plus or minus b squared minus 4ac all over 2a? That will solve for x, and you'll get down to the same exact values of, what do we have, 21 and 18? Okay, one of them being positive, one will be negative, but that is always an option. Okay, you can use that thing. Is that all right? Okay.
But starting off, you just, could you have just done 20? What if you would have went up one? Would you guys just
Yeah, because so when I started at 19, right? And I went down to 18.
Yeah.
So, and then that gave me this 21. If I would have gone up to 19 and then 20, the next one would have been 21, and it would have spit back 18. So it doesn't matter the direction I go.
So one of them might take you a couple more tries than the other.
Yep. Might show you another technique that we can use if we have this calculator. Maybe show that tomorrow if we have time.
He's thinking.
All right. Do you guys have specific questions that you want to talk about on this assignment? That was one that pretty much every class today is
I'm going to be honest.
question. Not because of the geometry, but mainly because of the algebra.
I forgot it. I forgot to do it, and I did not. I mean, once, so it wasn't very good.